You've tuned into another edition of The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the City of St. Augustine works from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Director, Melissa Wissel, The Break Room offers a closer look at the different city departments and provides updates on current and upcoming projects and events. And now, your host, Melissa Wissel.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in. You're listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Wissel, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. Today, I'm happy to welcome back to The Break Room St. Augustine Fire Department's Fire Safety Inspector, Abby Pedigo. With the holiday season now in full swing, we're doing lots of cooking, lots of celebrations with friends and family. Hopefully, we are taking care and caution to keep everyone safe from house fires. Abby, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
Let's talk fire safety, especially now with the holidays. We always like to talk fire safety, but you and I have talked about this. You do see an increase in fire incidents because of holidays. Is it not really the holiday itself, but increased activity?
Exactly. That's definitely what it comes down to. More increased activity around the holidays. So more cooking fires, more heating fires because of the cold weather, and then also fires that are directly related to holiday decorations.
And you say, don't people cook all year round? But people tend to get a little crazy. They bring out those deep fryers. They experiment in the kitchen. Not really.
That's right. And then having family over too. Family and friends can be distracting. People aren't giving all their time and attention to what they're cooking in the kitchen. So,
and when I cook in the kitchen, or let's start with the kitchen. What do I do if I see my pan suddenly flaming and it's not supposed to be a flambe?
Right. Yeah. So cooking remains the overall leading cause of home fires and the second leading cause of home fire deaths. So the peak days, do you remember the peak days for cooking fires? Thanksgiving, right. Christmas Day, and Christmas Eve. So yeah, if you do see flames on your stovetop, the best thing you can do is turn off the stove and put a lid over the fire. One thing you do not want to ever do is put water on a grease fire. We always tell people that. Grease fires are really devastating. They're the leading cause of cooking fires. Okay. It's really important if you're going to be frying in the kitchen to stay in the kitchen, stay by your stove. Always make sure that whatever you're frying is completely thawed out.
Okay. So don't put those half thawed out wings
turkeys
or something.
Or wings
okay.
in there. Make sure they're completely thawed out, and then never put water on a grease fire. So keep a lid nearby, keep an oven mitt nearby, and if you do experience that grease fire, put on the oven mitt, place the lid over the pan, and turn off the stove, and just wait until it extinguishes itself. Putting that lid over, it'll smother it.
Okay. Just a random question. What about baking soda? I've heard of that.
A
Is
lot
that
of people
not even
say
worth
that.
it?
No, I mean, the problem with baking soda is you just have to get close. You have to sprinkle the baking soda. I've heard stories of people thinking they grab the baking soda and grabbing the sugar instead because they're in a hurry, and then the sugar gets caramelized, and it almost makes it worse. So it's better to just put a lid on it, turn off the stove, and move away. And call the fire department if you're concerned, because it can take a little while sometimes for those fires to extinguish.
And I guess, like you just said, it's easier to keep a lid next to the stove than a box of baking soda.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're baking.
Exactly.
Right? And talking also about the turkey fryers. Again, open flame, people just not defrost those things the whole way too?
That tends to be a part of the problem. That and the oil just getting too hot. Everything has a flame point, temperature, a flame point. So if the oil gets too hot, they're left unattended, the turkeys aren't thawed, those can all contribute to those deep fat fires.
And those, when you put them in, we actually did one this year for Thanksgiving, and you kind of look in the pot and you're like, is that really enough oil?
Right.
And so we didn't add more, but I would imagine, I'm just visualizing someone looking at that and adding
oil,
more.
Yep.
And then you put that.
Yeah. Yep.
That thing down in there.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
That can happen too.
And then it explodes. I think we have a video that we've shown about fire safety where the fire explodes.
Exactly.
And you don't want to be near that.
Exactly. No, make sure those are outside. They're far away from anything combustible, and make sure your turkeys are thawed out. But there are a lot of other cooking fires, too, that can occur besides just the frying fires. Right. It's important to keep combustible materials away from the stovetop. Keep children and pets away from the stovetop. Always stay in the kitchen if you're going to be frying or sauteing or broiling anything. And don't be afraid to set your oven timer, especially if you have family and friends over or you're multitasking.
Right.
It can be easy to forget about whatever's in the
Even
oven.
if you don't set the timer for the cooking time, maybe 15 minutes prior to when you're supposed to finish whatever it is you're doing.
You to keep an eye on everything.
Keep the paper towels away. Keep the mitts away from the edge.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we've also got holidays, so we're decorating.
Yes.
Go get those nice smelly candles. Let's put them all around the house.
Yes. So most fires in the winter months are more related to cooking and heating, but we absolutely see an increase in home fires caused by holiday decorations. So half of all home decorating fires in December are started by candles, and Christmas is the peak day for candle fires. So if you are going to be lighting candles, make sure that they're at least a foot away from combustible materials. Make sure you're blowing them out when you're leaving the room and that they're out of the reach of kids and pets who could potentially knock them over.
And combustible materials, when you say that to me, I initially think of things like, well, I don't have a propane tank next to my candle.
No, it drapes, curtains, flammable furniture, anything.
Blanket.
Basically everything is
throw blanket with that nice pretty fringe on the end of it.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Pillows. And I think one time we've talked too about materials that our homes are made of, and the furniture. They're a lot more easily combustible.
Yes, they burn at a much higher, hotter rate than they used to in the past. I actually read today that the home fire deaths have increased between 2014 and 2018 than they were in like the 70s and 80s. Really? And that's because just the homes are built different. The furniture is built different. All the plastics we have in our homes today are just much more flammable and combustible than they used to be.
And they burn faster.
They burn so much faster, yes.
Wow.
And hotter.
Wouldn't really think about that either, but you're right. When you think about things are you don't have a solid oak couch anymore.
That heavy timber.
That heavy, right, that's varnished and, it takes a while to actually catch fire.
Exactly, yeah. So we also see Christmas tree fires a lot during the holidays. Most of those are caused by electrical problems with the lights on the trees or the tree being too close to a heat source. So when you're decorating your tree, check your lights for any worn or broken cords or loose bulbs.
Don't plug in 7 plugs together.
Read the manufacturer's recommendations on your lights and see how many lights you can safely connect.
I don't know if I put that power strip down with my little Christmas village. I've got like 7 or 8 houses. Right. I won't tell you how many of them plug into the power strip.
Well, at least if they're on a surge protector, if you do have a power surge, they'll trip the power before you get all that.
And trees, the tree, we all get people go get their trees at Thanksgiving and then they're up 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yes, they have that much more time to die and dry out. So make sure you're keeping your tree watered. Make sure it's away from any heating sources like fireplaces, space heaters, candles, vents, and make sure you're watering it every couple of days so it doesn't get dried out and increase that risk of catching on fire. And also make sure your Christmas tree isn't blocking any exits. People love to cram as many decorations as they can into their home during the holidays, but make sure that your exits are still accessible and that your Christmas tree isn't blocking any exits.
So maybe not in front of the sliding glass door.
Correct. Make sure everybody
slides,
in the house
maybe the other side of the sliding glass door.
Yeah, make sure everybody in the house can still get around. You have your paths accessible.
If you're just now tuning in, you're listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. And today I have Abby Pedigo. She is the St. Augustine Fire Safety Inspector. And we are talking about holiday fire safety, some reminders about what you can do to make sure that your house is not flammable.
Yeah, and we talked about holiday decorations. We talked about cooking fires. But the second leading cause of home fires and home fire deaths is heating. And we see the highest incidence of heating fires in December, January, and February. And most of those are due to space heaters.
Because we're not,
to cause
when you say the heat, I think, but we're in Florida. We're not.
Right.
But I did wear a jacket today down here, so I do. But the space heaters.
Right. And a lot of these older homes have heating issues, and so people will end up setting up a space heater in one room or another and just leaving it on.
And we have older homes too, so you've got wiring, perhaps? The wiring in the house isn't?
Yep, wiring can be a big factor too for home fires. But for the space heaters, make sure that those are at least 3 feet from any combustible materials like we talked about, drapes, furniture,
shoes,
clothing, anything. They actually make space heaters now that if they fall over, they'll shut off automatically. So those are the ones we require in any businesses, commercial occupancies in the city. And so those are really good to have in the home too. If you do forget to turn it off and it falls over, it'll shut off automatically.
Good to know. I don't have space heaters, but we used to have one of the old kerosene ones.
Oh, right.
Are those, I guess those are still around, or are they kind of not so much?
I haven't seen any. I'm sure they're still somewhere, maybe up north. But
not down here.
Typically the ones we see down here are electric.
The space heaters, electric ones, very good. And speaking of being a safety inspector, and you mentioned commercials, commercial businesses, do you actually have to go in and inspect anything specifically holiday related for inspections, or it's just routine inspections, and if you happen to be there, you might see it?
It's typically more routine inspections, and if we happen to be there and we see it, we always tell people that extension cords are fine for temporary use only, such as plugging in your Christmas tree lights and decorations, but those aren't to be left plugged in long term. So we'll look for too many extension cords around the holidays and that kind of thing. But and then, like we said, holiday decorations blocking your means of egress. We want to make sure that any decorations are flame retardant, that they're not going to add to the flame spread or the fuel load of your occupancy. So those are some of the things we would look for during the holidays.
So I got to ask you this. Does seeing all of the Christmas lights around town make you nervous? Like, do you have visions of what it looks like on the inside, or you think our businesses are good?
I grew up in St. Augustine, so being born and raised here and seeing the Christmas lights for my whole life, I don't really think danger when I see them. I think nostalgia and happy times. But I'm sure that as I progress with my career, it will become more doom and gloom.
You'll walk in and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
Right.
You also, being the inspector, you are in charge of the inspection process for our short-term rentals. And I know we always kind of touch base on that. We've got just a quick minute left. How are things going with inspections around the city? We're good?
Going well, yeah. We're pretty caught up on everything. Everybody had to re-register for the new fiscal year in October. So we've got an influx of registrations during that time. And now we're mostly just going back and doing renewal inspections for the people who had registered last year and have just re-registered this year. And then we also always get new registrations throughout the year too. So we're sprinkling those in among all the renewals.
Things are at a nice, easy calm.
But yeah, they are right now.
And you also do the smoke detector installations. You keep busy with
our department does smoke alarm installations for free if you need smoke alarms in your home. We do fire extinguisher training for all businesses. We do CPR, hands-only CPR for businesses in the city, anybody who wants to learn. So I stay really busy with all those public outreach type of programs.
You're getting back out in the community with things with COVID seeming to have come to a nice
We
lull.
are, yeah. I still mask up if I'm on an inspection, but we are getting back out, and we have more people calling us now for more public outreach programs. We were able to get back in the schools again this year for Fire Prevention Month, which was great.
Nice to be back
the kids again.
with the kids and being in the community.
Yep.
Well, it's great to see you around town. I know we keep you busy, the residents and the businesses, with your inspections. Thanks for reminding us about all of our holiday safety tips.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back.
And we'll have you back again.
All right.
As we wrap up another edition of The Break Room, I hope we answered your questions. If we didn't, you can send an email to info@citysainaug.com, and we'll be happy to get back to you. Or if there's someone you would like to hear from, let us know, and we'll get them on The Break Room. We want to keep you informed about what's happening in and around the city, and most importantly, that you hear it here from the people doing the work and making it happen every day. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City St. Aug. And you'll also find the fire department on Facebook and Instagram at City St. Aug Fire. Until next time.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program addressing projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. Join us each week as the city's communications director, Melissa Wissel, has in-depth conversations with the people who make our town work to meet the needs of our community. The Break Room is produced by Communications Specialist for the City of St. Augustine, Cindy Walker. See you at this time next week for another edition of The Break Room.